G's get up on it. Ladies throw it back. Mom, act like you want it. I know you heard of that.
I don't need to be keeping up with times. I need to be making my own ways and working with culture.
You about to steal something from them or rob them because of how you dress and how you look, and for you to come.
Slim Thug. The man considered the steel fortress of Houston an icon of self-made wealth and the soul of Southern rap music. A chart-topping ruler who doesn't bow down to any record label. You are the standard. It is the image of an empire built with bare hands, something that even Texas had to bow down and respect. But behind that image of an untouchable boss lies a story that even those closest to him dare not reveal. A bizarre disease that left doctors shaking their heads because there is no treatment protocol. A love triangle exploded on TMZ. And finally, a fatal blow. From the very thing he once revered powerful enough to bury the entire empire Slim had built. What really happened to Slim Thug? Was it the aftershock of a storm he didn't have time to avoid? Or the price to pay for the recklessness he was once proud of? This is where you'll learn the truth. Houston fans have been waiting for years. The story of the boss of all bosses. The one who put the whole city on the map and then disappeared without a trace. Let's get started. 1. Childhood without a home to return to. He was born in 1980 and is the youngest of 7 siblings. For many families, the youngest child is the one who is cherished and protected. But in Slim Thug's house, that privilege doesn't exist. He was born in Northeast Houston in the Homestead neighborhood, but his childhood was filled with one move after another. His mother kept packing and unpacking, moving from the Sea King to the Hillary Glen, and then from Acres Home to Greenspoint, as if she were trying to escape something the children would never know. No father, not a single picture to look at their face, not a single memory to name. Mom works the night shift from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. She went to work before it even got dark and returned when the first rays of sunlight shone through the door. The 7 children fended for themselves like a flock of fledglings abandoned in the street. No rules, no curfew. No one asked, "Where are you going?" or "Have you come back yet?" He spent most of his time outside all night hanging out with street kids. And in Northeast Houston, fending for yourself is never a light concept. Slim's siblings are all grown up, and everyone is struggling to make money in their own way. Slim remembers the moments they showed off their brand new Jordans, without anyone thinking about buying a pair for their youngest sibling. The feeling of abandonment clung to him like a shadow. So he found his own family. A few friends who rode bikes, stole bikes, and did all sorts of street tricks to pass the time, and forget the feeling of being superfluous in his own home. Moving constantly also means changing schools frequently. Thanks to this, Slim got to know almost every neighborhood in Northside, every friend group, and every different lifestyle. Outsiders think he was famous from a young age, but Slim understood clearly it wasn't fame, but the consequence of never staying anywhere long enough to call it home. Later, looking back, Slim admitted that childhood left an indescribable, invisible pressure. Once he said to himself, "I probably need to see a therapist." Because from a young age, he lived in a state of constantly having to adapt, and then run again, with no end, no stability. In his mind, there was always a question that every child dreaded to think about. Is this home, or just a temporary place before we have to move again? 2. The first leap on the path to becoming a legend. He watched his mother work night shifts, juggle 7 children, and constantly change jobs to pay the bills. His mother's fatigue, the silence in the cramped house, the never-ending rhythm of life. All these things planted something else in Slim, the thought that life could be wider than these circumstances if he could find something that belonged to him. And that comes from an unexpected place, street freestyle. Slim said that back then, there were always a few older guys on every street corner rapping for fun. Each time the beat reverberated, he inched closer, as if the music had its own gravitational pull. The initial flood teased the tall, skinny, lanky boy, but then one time, he accidentally rapped, and the whole group fell silent. In that moment, Slim realized he had a talent that this place couldn't take away. At the age of 17, he began performing at high school parties. His appearance with his very distinct Northside charisma quickly caught the eye of legendary DJ Michael 5000 Watts. Thanks to this, Slim was featured on the mixtape Swisha House '98, which opened the first door to his career. But to stand firm in the Houston rap scene of that time, it wasn't just talent that was needed. It took guts to overcome the North Side-South Side divide. In Houston, the North and South didn't have a war, but they did have musical boundaries. They have their sound, and Slim has the sound of the North. And coming from the North Side means you have to prove yourself. Twice as much. You have to show the whole city that you're worthy of standing alongside anyone. And Slim chose to fight with music. Every song he records, every track he raps carries a message. Northside also has a voice, and it's strong enough that no one dares to underestimate it. Thanks to Watts's guidance and the spirit of being yourself, Slim understood the value of independence. He started releasing his own mixtapes, earning income while honing his business skills. From that, the Boss Hogg Outlaws BHO were born. The collaboration between him and ESG, a Southside rapper, broke down the North-South barrier with a single album, Boss Hogg Outlaws. What was unimaginable many years ago is now unified through music. After building his own community, Slim looked further ahead. He wanted to bring Houston's new faces to the forefront, establish a new collective of rappers under BHO, and pave the way for Dre Day, J-Dog Killa Killian, and L.E. Dullo. For Slim, success is meaningless if you stand alone. In the mid-2000s, the door to America opened when he signed a contract with Pharrell Williams and Interscope Records. His debut album, already platinum, put Slim on the national music map. He was nominated for MTV2 for Still Tippin', won an MTV VMA with Beyoncé's Check on It, and entered the pop world when he collaborated with Gwen Stefani on Luxury, a territory very few rappers from the North Side have ever ventured into. Slim continued to maintain his position with the albums Boss of All Bosses, The Thug Show, the Serve and Collect series, and the mixtape Welcome to Texas. The song played in the Super Bowl All-Star Weekend and countless major events. Finally, he returned to the true spirit he was born with absolute independence. Slim built the Boss Life brand, launched an e-cigarette line fashion philanthropy, and became a leader for Houston's new class of rappers. The album Boss Life marks the moment Slim officially transitioned from being a rapper to a true entrepreneur. He did what most people thought was impossible for a child who grew up without a father, without stability, without a foundation. And to recognize this, February 25, 2014 was officially named Slim Thug Day by the city of Houston. A child who was thrown onto the street eventually became the pride of the entire city. 3. The aggravated robbery case. The twist that left Slim's life hanging in the balance. Just as Slim's career was beginning to take off, his life took a complete 180 turn. An unexpected event not caused by him and completely beyond his control brought all efforts to a halt and plunged him into the darkest night of his life. When people mention Slim Thug, most will remember a man nearly 2 meters tall who speaks slowly and always exudes a sense of calm, as if nothing in the world could shake him. But before he had MTV lights shining in his face or signed multi-million-dollar contracts, Slim was standing right on the edge of life. It wasn't because he was playing a dangerous game, it wasn't because he was a gangster, but because of an event significant enough to send him straight to prison with a sentence ranging from 15 years to life. Houston in the late 90s was not the Houston of downtown lights, not a pop music city, and certainly not a place where young rappers were respected. That's Houston, the city of scorching streets, where gunshots aren't an alarm, but the background rhythm. Slim was just a lanky, skinny boy back then, carrying a few self-recorded mixtape reels like lottery tickets. In the evening, I sell records in the parking lot, and in the morning, I do small shows in the neighborhood. He's just famous enough for people to recognize him, but not famous enough to be protected from all the prejudices waiting to swallow someone like him. Then, an armed robbery broke out near the area he frequented. Not close friends, not the group he was with, and he wasn't even present in the minutes. But in Houston back then, just 2 degrees of separation away from a handshake, and you were immediately drawn into the eye of the storm. And Slim, with his striking height and the image of a rising Northside kid, suddenly became a name that immediately landed on the police's blacklist. It's not because they have evidence, but because they have an intuition about a black rapper. Later, Slim recounted in an interview, his voice so calm it sent shivers down the listeners' spines. "They want me to go to prison for life. They want to give me 15 years to life for something I didn't do." That's not the typical survived from the streets brag that many rappers make. It's like someone describing the moment they saw the entire future being deleted by someone. He said he's been losing sleep for many nights. Just the sound of a passing car, a knock on the door, or even a dog barking was enough to make him jump out of his skin. When he first entered the courtroom, Slim's feeling wasn't anger, but it's empty. As if everyone in the room had already read the verdict before he could even open his mouth. In that world, Slim is not a rapper. You're just the most easily suspected name. His family was as tense as a stretched string at that time. Friends encouraged him, but Slim said no amount of encouragement could overcome the fear of being dragged down by something he had nothing to do with. Your lawyer has to trace back every clue, every witness, every timeline, as if trying to free someone from a trap he never stepped into. And then, after months of living in deep darkness, the case was dismissed. Slim beat the case. No crime, no sentence. But the scariest thing isn't the outcome. It lies in what the case leaves behind. From that moment on, Slim changed his outlook on life. He no longer believes that fame can save him. He was wary of every business invitation, suspicious of anyone who got too close too quickly. To him, life is like an old wooden bridge. It looks sturdy, but just one broken plank could send you plummeting into the abyss. What few people know is that this event sowed a deep-seated fear in Slim's mind. The fear that the system could crush him at any moment simply because he belonged to a neighborhood that people didn't want to understand. That fear stayed with him for many years and became the key to understanding why, even after becoming famous, turmoil clung to him like a shadow that wouldn't leave. Because the truth is that sometimes the things that threaten you the most aren't what you do, but it's what you're seen as. And the big question only began to emerge from here. If Slim survived a life sentence just because he happened to be near trouble, then what would happen when he was in the spotlight where everything was clear and every mistake was magnified tenfold? 4. The black women controversy storm has raged for over a decade. Around 2010 to 2011, just looking from the outside, Slim Thug was in the prime of his life. Your name appeared on MTV, rotating between Still Tippin' Already Platinum and the times you stood next to Beyoncé in Check on It. A kid who used to sleep rough on the north side is now cruising around Houston in a shiny car neck weighed down with chains and a packed schedule. That was the period when people called him the star of Houston, not just the neighborhood rapper anymore, but the face of the entire city. But just as the light was brightest, a very different name appeared on the other side in the Harris County court records. Clarence Evans. Not a critic, not a blogger, not a reporter. It's just a man who said he entered a house to discuss business, then left with a face full of blood and hospital records. From a piece of music, the story transformed into an indictment with each dry line of text sounding like a violent film scene. According to the lawsuit, the house was used that day as a meeting place, half private residence and half temporary office. No company logo, no sign, just an address on paper. Evans said he went there thinking of a business opportunity, bringing money documents and a few personal items. No one thought a conversation about cooperation could end with gunfire and a broken nose. But in his account, just as the meeting seemed to be concluding, the atmosphere changed. Evans claims that Slim Thug and another man suddenly rushed in and attacked. He described the gun not as firing bullets, but as being used like a hammer. The blow to the face broke his nose, tore his skin, and blood ran down his shirt. The lines in the lawsuit have no sound, no heartbeat, just words. But if you pay attention, you'll realize that each punctuation mark evokes an image. A closed room, scattered furniture. Someone slumped on the floor with a distorted face. In the file, Evans lists the things he says he lost after that meeting. The most obvious thing was a broken nose and bruised face, which were documented by the hospital. The second was the cash he carried for transactions and the personal items he said he never found again. The third is harder to measure sick days, missed contracts, and lost income due to being home for treatment. He requested the court to order Slim Thug's side to compensate for physical pain, medical expenses, short-term financial losses, and long-term consequences. The special feature of this case lies in the very space where the incident occurred. It's not a meeting room with cameras, not a law office, and not a studio with a management team. It was the kind of gray location very familiar in the Houston rap world of that time, where the lines between friends' business and the streets were as blurred as cigarette smoke. In the same room, some call it a brother's home, some call it an office, and some see it as the setting for a robbery. And when things fell apart, the story immediately became a matter of his word against mine. For Slim Thug, this isn't the first time he's heard the word robbery in his life. He grew up among Hitlick's friends, witnessing many scenes where people resolved conflicts with fists and cold metal. But this time, that word appeared in the courtroom next to the stage name that was familiar to the Billboard charts. From a rapper praised for being calm and soft-spoken, he was suddenly accused of using a gun to hit a man who was only a few steps away from him. Houston media didn't miss the opportunity. Your name appears in articles where the title is next to the words lawsuit and assault. The image on television a few years ago was Slim Thug smiling on the red carpet. The new image is of the defendant in the civil lawsuit, with lines describing the wounds and the gun. Regardless of whether he is found guilty or not, the mere fact that his name is repeated multiple times in the context of violence is enough for many people to start looking at him differently. Slim Thug's fans are clearly divided into two sides. One side believes this is a shakedown by a plaintiff who saw an opportunity to target a celebrity with assets and insurance. They recounted Slim Thug's entire journey from the north side to the top, how he invested in real estate, how he was respected by the community, and then wondered why someone who had overcome street hustles would return to this kind of trouble. The other side, however, views the lawsuit as a new piece in his street culture picture, like, even if I'm standing next to Beyoncé, I'm still a kid from North Houston at heart. The crucial aspect that the script cannot overlook is the legal nature of the story. This is a civil lawsuit, not a criminal conviction. Harris County Court acknowledged Clarence Evans's request, noting the allegations injury list and proposed compensation. But the public record doesn't specify how the case concluded, and no final ruling was made public for everyone to read. That is, there's a story, there are allegations, there are documents, but there's no clear conclusion. It's precisely that ambiguity that adds another layer of mystery to the image of Slim Thug. Outsiders only see a gray patch of former rap star who once shared the stage with Beyoncé, now mentioned in a lawsuit involving guns and a broken nose. No one has enough facts to say you are innocent, nor do they have a verdict to declare you guilty. These are all just questions hanging in the audience's minds, suspended between the words street and fame, between the house used as a meeting place and the courthouse used for judgment. If you look at the journey broadly, this feels like a second wave crashing into Slim Thug's life. The first wave was the serious robbery case from before, where he said he almost lost his youth just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The second wave is this pistol whip lawsuit, where the opponent is no longer the state's prosecution system, but a man who says he entered that house with faith and came out with a ravaged face. Two different waves, but both touching the same fear. Just one wrong meeting and everything could collapse. In the eyes of those who have followed Slim Thug since the Still Tippin' days, this lawsuit isn't the end, but it's certainly a cut. It makes every time you mention getting off the streets, there's an added whisper. How far has that life gone? And will those half-friend, half-business relationships ever completely disappear? And that's just one of 3 sparks. Because alongside the pages of court documents, another storm was about to erupt, not from fists or guns, but from the very words he spoke about black women into the microphone. 5. The road from the North Side neighborhood to Swisha House. If you only look at Slim Thug during his MTV heyday, you'd find it hard to imagine his journey didn't start in a recording studio, but in a sweltering garage. No conservatory, no guide, no promises. There was only one lanky boy living among the dusty streets of Northside Houston, trying to find his voice in a world where no one expected him to speak. The Slim family moved constantly. Each neighborhood is a new rhythm of life. Each school is a new face. There's no first-day friend, no sense of stability. But that displacement gave him his first asset, a sense of belonging every place, yet not being dependent on any one place. When you hold the mic, the rap lyrics naturally become your only support. He grew up amidst the distorted sounds from boombox speakers, the hot plastic smell of modified cars parked in front of the door, and afternoons spent with his cousin watching the street unfold right before their eyes. But amidst that chaos, 2 things kept him going. The old karaoke machine his brother had given him, and a few Outcast cassettes that were worn to the point of the tape being about to tear. Every night when mom works the night shift, he locks himself in his room, turns on the beat, and tries to fit each word into the rhythm. No one taught me. No one is fixing it. Everything is self-taught. Therefore, freestyle came to Slim completely naturally. Those gatherings on the porch, those afternoons spent in the dusty garage, he learned to flow with the beat like others glide on a board. No complex techniques, no flashy philosophy, just speaking their truth, something Houstonians have always valued. In high school, Slim entered a world that outsiders couldn't understand unless they grew up in 1990s Houston block parties, parking lot ciphers, lunchroom battles. Those seemingly disorganized places were the first stage for countless Southern rappers. And amidst that crowd, the tall, lanky Afro boy with his gleaming grill gradually caught people's attention. It's not because of his appearance, but because his rap voice captures the true essence of Northside's slow, thick, gritty. And so real, it feels like you're standing right in the middle of the neighborhood. In the late 90s, Swisha House began to gain recognition. And one day, somehow, no one remembers exactly how the name Slim Thug came to the attention of DJ Michael Watts. Slim had no management at that time, no plans, and couldn't even dream of a contract. But he has something rare. A baritone voice as heavy as the Texas pavement, and the ability to rap as if every story has been inside him for a long time. Swisha House took on Slim, but Slim wasn't dependent. He sells his own mixtapes, runs his own shows, and keeps his own money. Even before independent artist became a trend, he was already living that way, recording, while selling albums in parking lots and preparing a backup plan in case life took an unexpected turn. And that's why Slim became the voice of Houston before America even knew who he was. A rapper doesn't need a fancy stage, just a parking lot, a few yellow light bulbs, and the raw truth of Northside. 6. Disappearing from the mainstream and difficult turns. There are artists who disappear from the spotlight with a bang, and there are those who leave like a studio light that flickers briefly and then goes out completely with no one realizing when that moment began. Slim Thug belongs to the second group. No scandals, no noisy fall. It was just one day the audience turned on MTV and saw the emptiness where his image used to be. But for those who understand how the industry works, that disappearance is no mystery. It started with a cold truth: the mainstream changes direction faster than any artist can adapt, especially someone as absolutely loyal to their Southern roots as Slim. In the early 2000s, Houston experienced a prosperous period. Still Tippin' sounded like the rumble of a slab engine roaring down the highway, while Already Platinum opened Billboard like a declaration that Southside was entering the center of the rap map. Slim stood beside Pharrell and Beyoncé as a symbol of an entire region. But then national tastes changed. Miami club pop emerged, followed by EDM, and then Atlanta trap took over. And Houston, chopped and screwed, bass-heavy, slow-tempo, street-flavored music, was pushed out of the neon-lit circle. Slim understands that. You once said the mainstream waits for no one. When the new appears, the old is pushed aside, even though the old once defined an entire generation. And the newness of that time wasn't for a big, calm, trend-averse rapper like him. Behind the scenes, another kind of storm was quietly brewing. The large contracts, which had once helped him enter the national arena, began to become a burden. The album advance was withheld due to production disputes. An uncleared beat caused the entire project to be halted. Things that never make the news, but are enough to crack an artist's breath. Slim went on tour until he was exhausted. Nights performing at small clubs, crackling microphones, hot lights, crowded venues. Then, there were those hotel nights when he looked in the mirror and wondered what he was chasing. It's not that I'm tired of rap, but rap in the mainstream at that time no longer belonged to people like Slim. The industry wants something different, faster, shinier, more easily viral. Finally, he did what many Southern artists had to choose. He dropped out of the race. But Slim left in a very Texas way, quietly, without fanfare, without tears. From boss of all bosses to hog life, he did it all himself, self-released and rebuilt his own path. Economically, it was a smart decision. In terms of art, that's the price of independence. No more MTV, no more talk shows, no more nationwide spotlight. Slim became a local legend, a true Houston icon. But behind that position, he felt the coldness of the industry more clearly than anyone else. No complaints, not bitter. It's just the truth. And so he stepped out of the mainstream race, not because he was knocked out, but because he knew the rules had changed, the track had changed, and even the light had changed. Houston still kept him, and the mainstream continues to seek new sounds. 7. When social media changes, and Slim Thug stands in the eye of the storm. As social media changed, Slim Thug was almost thrown directly from the MTV spotlight, where artists only appeared when ready, into the Instagram spotlight, where every word could become evidence and every emotion was amplified. He entered that era with his old personality straightforward, not sparing anyone's feelings and not putting on an act. And then, the storm came. The first wave of questions began with a question about Ciara and Russell Wilson. Slim Thug blurted out that he didn't believe in that marriage. To him, it's just an opinion. But with social media, it's the spark that reignites an entire old scandal. Just a few hours later, edited videos appeared in abundance. They call him a denigrator of black women bringing up mistakes from 2010. A phrase uttered in a Houston studio turned into a global trial. Then, there's Cassie and Diddy. Initially, Slim Thug was suspicious of Cassie, thinking the media was digging up the past to burn the character. But when the hotel hallway video was revealed, the truth had no room to maneuver. Slim Thug went online and said directly, "I was wrong." A simple apology, but as heavy as a midlife milestone, when a man understands that the mistake wasn't in bad intentions, but in choosing to believe at the wrong time. As for the Jay-Z case, Slim Thug chose to be cautious, neither defending nor accusing. Just a reminder that the truth takes time. But social media doesn't. They want an immediate answer. They want a faction. And Slim Thug, with his natural bluntness, suddenly became a target for public debate. Finally, Slim Thug hasn't changed at all. It's just that the light shining on him is different, harsher, faster, and no longer with the forgiveness of the old MTV era. 8. The news storms. There was one thing Slim Thug didn't expect: the feeling of stepping out of the warm MTV era and falling straight into the ice-cold Instagram age. On stage, mistakes fade into the lights. And online, a single sentence can remain forever, like a tattoo that never fades. The first storm came when he mentioned Ciara and Russell Wilson. Just one comment with the street love vibe of a Texas man. But the internet read it through a different lens. People are digging up the years he made statements about black women, turning a fleeting remark into a years-long debate. Slim Thug, accustomed to bass that drowns out every whisper, suddenly realized social media makes every step of his sound more uncomfortably loud. Then there's the Cassie and Diddy case. Initially, he sided with Diddy, instinctively aligning with a generation that always demands proof before condemning. But the hallway video appeared stark and undeniable. Slim Thug apologizes simply, like a man who has come to understand that being wrong doesn't always stem from bad intentions. Sometimes it just comes from being on the wrong side. The allegations against Jay-Z have once again thrust him into the center of debate. Slim Thug talks about the legal process, about the cost of a false accusation. But this era doesn't like neutrality. It likes to choose sides. And he was once again drawn into a public opinion battle that he had no control over. Amidst all that chaos, Big Slim, the middle-aged man building affordable homes and investing in the community, remained steadfast. Even though his house was robbed and a stalker entered the garage, he remained calm, as if he were accustomed to all the variations of life. And looking back, Slim Thug only has one question. Was the few years of stage lights worth a lifetime of controversy? Or is peace what people search for but never find? The audience will answer for themselves. And Slim Thug has known the price of that light for a long time.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast. There is still so much more to explore: stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on your screen.